Hi everybody, we're back. Stewart, Alan Swerdlow.
And Janet Diane Moria Swerdlow.
For Expansion's news podcast for the week after Father's Day of June 2018. And thank all of you who did send me Father's Day wishes, although I didn't get any physical presents.
You got the presents of a couple of your sons.
Yeah, but I mean, nothing that I could unwrap or open and go, oh wow, what a great surprise. No.
No, well, the surprise is
No,
that
I got a one Father's Day card that when I opened it, it said, this card is laced with a neurotoxin, and if you want the antidote, speak to me immediately. Mm-hmm. Wasn't that lovely? Mm-hmm. Anyway, that son is out of the will, by the way. Yeah. Okay, so a lot of stuff happened while we were away.
A lot
of stuff. And hopefully, I mentioned in the little brief podcast we did a couple of days ago that I hope that you will watch the Turkish television show. One of the producers emailed me last night and said it's a tremendous hit and they want me to come back for the fall and winter. I might have to live in Turkey.
Maybe.
Actually.
But anyway, just so you know, we did post the link in the last podcast. It is in Turkish and English because people were writing saying, oh, I wish I could watch it. And are there subtitles? So no, there are no subtitles. We are speaking and then the interpreter speaks. So it's in both languages.
Yeah, but anyway, let's talk Turkey, as they say.
All right, what else?
Anyway, so while we were gone, the big story is that President Trump and Kim Jong-un had a meeting in Singapore last week, which supposedly will lead to some type of normalization eventually of relations. And of course, Trump said there will no longer be a nuclear threat. My feeling is there never really was one.
Well, we've been telling you this.
He sent little firecrackers up that crashed in the ocean.
Right. We've been telling you this for months now. There was no threat. Anything that was going on was staged, and now here you have the conclusion.
But as far as reunification of Korea is concerned, I think that's still a very long way away. Now, why is all of this happening? Well, I mentioned a very long time ago that North Korea sits on top of billions of dollars worth of precious gems and precious metals, which everybody wants, but the North Koreans won't let anyone literally dig for them. China and Russia may feel threatened about the American closeness to North Korea. However, it will result, supposedly according to Mr. Trump, in the removal or at least significant reduction of American troops from the Korean Peninsula. Not that they did anything spectacular anyway.
Again, it's a show.
Yeah. So the next big story, which has been in the news every single day, but it's kind of dying out right now because I think they're trying to not make people too afraid, is the eruption of the Hawaiian volcano Kilauea. And that actually has been erupting for over 20 years, but now, of course, it's become significant. And this is just the beginning. Remember, I have warned for many years about this. And according to some scientific news, the big island of Hawaii may be destroyed as a major thrusting up can happen. And supposedly as much as 1/3 of the southern part of the large Hawaiian island could slip into the ocean. And another danger is the Haleakala volcano on the island of Maui, which has been dormant for quite a bit of time, but is probably going to fill with magma now as everything is filling up underneath the Hawaiian Islands. Can you say Haleakala?
Haleakala.
Can you say it like with a sentence?
I've been there many times.
Anyway, volcanoes are going off all across the Pacific Ocean, especially under the Pacific Ocean where you can't see them. There have been quakes in the Persian Gulf region, the Aleutian Islands, your homeland, Washington State, in Central America. And actually, last night there was a big earthquake in Japan near Osaka, which caused a lot of pipes and water mains to break and flooding all over that part of Japan. So the Pacific Rim is activating. Now, as you may have seen from, if you've been watching the pictures posted on Facebook of our trip, there is still snow in June in the Alps. And you can see in one picture, it was up to my
It was past your head.
Yeah, that's not global warming, people. And they're saying, oh, the glaciers are melting in the Alps. No, they're not. There's plenty of snow up there.
In fact, they're saying that they're like at least 2 weeks behind because usually, like my cousin, they take their cows up the mountains. They're there by the 1st of June. Somewhere the end of May, 1st of June, and they still have 2 more moves before they get to the top of the mountain.
2 more moves or moves?
Moves.
Oh, okay.
Moves of the moves before they get to the top. So the grass is not growing as fast as it normally is, and the snow is not melting as fast as it normally does. So.
Yeah. And so Turkey was wonderful. I love Turkey, but Switzerland, what else? You know, we went up that train in the Swiss Alps. That was really scary to me.
It was.
Yeah, because what happens if the train derailed? You know, like what happens? And so, anyway.
You'd be on a Swiss Alps sled.
Yeah, I was a little disappointed in that train ride. And I don't like those very narrow, muddy dirt roads on the side of the mountains in Italy. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, also the last few weeks have had strange looking creatures wash up on the beaches in Asia and Africa. Did you see some of those pictures?
That's been going on, for the last year or so. And
Yeah, but it's
been
like
speeding
every
up
other
now.
day there's some picture in the Philippines and Taiwan and China, and recently was in part of some place in West Africa of really, really strange creatures washing up, and they're real. It's not like a hoax or anything. These are real things washing up. My favorite story of the week. You're not going to like it, so close your ears. Because a Florida woman celebrated her 105th birthday party and said she never expected to live this long. Her name is Helen Grenier of Palm Harbor, and she attributes her longevity to a life of drinking, smoking, and staying out late. I love that old grandma. She's my real grandma.
Well, the reason that works for
No, I don't want to hear it.
Yeah, you can
no,
hear
I don't want to hear it.
It's because she probably didn't have any guilt, and she enjoyed what she did. And what I tell people,
I don't have guilt when I do those things.
Yeah, you do.
No, I don't.
And you don't do those things anyway. Point being is it's more important what goes into your mind than what you put in your body. So no matter what diet you're on, we talk about this on the blogs all the time. It's more important what's in your mind than the food you put in your body.
Anyway, happy birthday, Helen, and God bless her for her smoking, drinking, and staying out late. And her husband died a long time ago, and actually after, because he refused to take her to Las Vegas because she liked to gamble too. So after he died many years ago, then she went to Las Vegas and had a party.
Good for her.
Yeah, see, so there you go. Anyway, it is June 2018, so you should all be doing your oversoul work. Those of you who read my blogs know that June is for oversoul work and working on your finances.
And I have all that on my blog as well. The blog is called What Exactly is Your Oversoul?
I saw that.
And the affirmations this month are your energetic well-being. So lots of good information
we should
as
talk
always.
to Helen about that.
Lots of good information as always on the membership side of our website. So I have a lot of news because I've kind of picked out some of the most important things that were happening or in the news while we were gone. So bear with me, but it's to me always fascinating. That's why I am.
Bear with you. Okay.
So as you all know, Duchess Kate Middleton gave birth to a baby back in April. And so one of the interesting things to me, which happened the first and second times, and here we are at the third, that I'm going to quote this article, despite giving birth just hours before, Kate looked every bit radiant as she left the Lindo wing to bring the new prince home. She wore nude stilettos and her signature flawless blowout. Now, I will tell you, that's when they wash the hair and it looks nice. So the point being is, if she just had this baby, she's not going to be walking around on stilettos. And the baby looked, again, fake. And I will tell you, for those of you who don't know, that when a woman's body prepares for birth, all the ligaments get very loose so that she can pass a bowling ball between her legs.
What about a baby? Why would you want a bowling ball?
Because it's the size of a baby. So that's why when women who have just given birth say, there's no way I can walk on stilettos, you will fall down and break your neck because your ligaments are loose. So therefore,
my ligaments are loose all the time.
Just like the other babies, there's no way that she could have just given birth and then done this. So
I think it was a big sham of baby stuff.
So now the interesting thing is, because I was thinking about this, it probably was born, if it was born, when it was born. They're not going to tell you the real birth date. And you may not remember this, but I'm going to remind you that the Queen has 2 birthdays.
Why?
Always. She was born, according to this, April 21, but she always marks her birthday the second Saturday of June with a public parade in London called Trooping of the Colour.
You know, I should do something like that.
So apparently this tradition started back in 1748 by King George II, who was born in November, but
Me too.
said that UK doesn't have good weather in November, so he decided to combine it with a military parade in the summer.
I think I like that idea.
However, my feeling is they don't want you to really know the true birth date of the royals, because if you did, then with frequency and their full birth name, they always put the birth certificate out as well. So that might probably is also kind of a sham.
You know what? Since I'm born in November, I think I should have a party this summer.
You could do that. You do that kind
with
of
a
every day
parade and
anyway.
many gifts sent by the listeners.
So anyway, my feeling is they don't want you to know the real birth dates because they don't want people doing jujus on the royalty.
Don't talk about Jews.
Now, there's another interesting article that caught my eye. This is about doctors who are puzzling over dozens of cases of women, mostly in their 20s and 30s, who have a rare eye cancer in 2 southern states. Now, normally, this disease called ocular melanoma is usually found in just 6 out of every million people. However, over the last several years, they found a group of graduates from Auburn University in Alabama and 18 people in Huntersville, North Carolina diagnosed with this. And once you're diagnosed, the only choice is to either remove your eye or radiation, and it says either way, it's not good. So,
did they say why those places have it?
no, they're not telling you why. But my feeling is perhaps they need some eyes to experiment on. So if you are diagnosed with anything like this, you definitely want to get another opinion and not in your area. And then also you want to remember, or they're saying because of this, you should wear sunglasses. So they're trying to put fear into people. And I will tell you that sunlight is healthy for your eyes.
Well, from a hyperspace point of view, if you have eye cancer, it means there's something you're looking at in life that you resent all the time when you see it.
If you even have it, that's the issue. Because we just went through a big situation with your eyes when you were told certain things.
And I didn't have any
And
of
you
it.
did not have it when we went and got like a third and a fourth opinion.
I had to go out of the country first to find the real
And then we went back to
solution.
New York to another eye doctor who said that you did not have that at all. So you also want to think about all these things. If you get any horrible diagnoses, you really need like a second, third, fourth opinion. But anyway, so I want to warn you about that. And also, it's best not to wear sunglasses. Next, there's a new paper out called the Silurian Hypothesis. The Silurians is a reference,
I don't know how to spell that.
right there,
Oh, Silurian.
to an ancient race of brainy reptiles featured in the British science fiction show Doctor Who.
Oh.
Now, scientists at NASA's Goddard Institute for Space Studies and the University of Rochester are saying that ours is maybe not the only advanced civilization ever to exist on our planet.
Gee, we've heard that before.
So, a professor of physics and astronomy at Rochester said, "Do we really know we were the first technological species on Earth? We've had an industrial society for only about 300 years, but there's been complex life on land for nearly 400 million years." And he says if humans went extinct today, any future civilization that might arise on Earth would have a hard time finding any traces of us, and so therefore, if something happened on Earth millions of years ago, we might have trouble finding evidence of that.
In September class, I will be discussing about the 7 pre-Adamic civilizations that existed on the Earth.
Okay, so then in this particular article, it also says "In Search of Lizard People" as a subtitle, as one of the sections, but then in the subtitle, or in that section of writing, there is no reference to lizard people. So I found that interesting. And then in addition, at Penn State University, astronomer Jason Wright says that the moon is a favored target, and that other researchers besides this particular one are now applying serious scientific thinking to the possibility of pre-human technological civilizations.
On the moon?
If you'll listen, Wright suggests looking for such artifacts not just on the moon's surface but also on asteroids or buried on Mars. because such objects could theoretically survive for hundreds of millions or even billions of
And
years.
where have you heard that before?
So it's interesting
And
now
these
it's
books
coming
that you're
out.
gonna show them.
Yeah, yes, and blue blood. We've talked about such things.
And there.
True world history. And remember our September Spectacular is coming up, which we continue to
It
talk
will be spectacular.
about what's going on in history. And then in China, speaking of China, they
What happened in China?
are now developing a social credit system. I call it mind control. Okay? I call it one of the next phases of mind control, in fact. Because in 2014, Beijing announced that it would use data to monitor and rank the behavior of its citizens, rewarding those with high scores and punishing those that scored low.
Uh-oh, how are they going to punish them?
So the elite will gain access to better social privileges, and those who rank closer to the bottom will then become second-class citizens. And that by 2020, they want it all mandatory for 1.4 billion Chinese citizens. And so, because some of the local governments are putting in their own systems to try and see how it's going to work. So in Southeast China, the government rates its citizens on a point system that ranges from 0 to 200, with all participants starting at 100. So for example, in 2016, police revealed that the top-rated citizen who donated over 1 liter of blood and volunteered over 500 hours of work was on 134 points.
That's it? He only gets 134 points.
However,
after all that?
Yeah, the citizens can obtain prizes with their points, such as discounts on public transport, or the ability to skip to the front of a line in a hospital. Then, another local government, such as in Shanghai, I said that you will get, points taken off for things such as not visiting your parents often, parking illegally, falsifying personal history, and illegally selling train tickets. Then you can also get points taken off of for such things as dodging transport fares, failing to turn up to a restaurant booking, and cheating in video games. So this is China.
Well, I wouldn't get any points off them.
Okay. Then, next story, back to outer space and what's going on. Mars, is the big topic and continues to be the big topic.
It is.
Well, the next is citizens of Mars.
Oh.
Because now there is a professor, Jacob Hawk-Mizra, who is a researcher at the Blue Marble Space Institute of Science, has recently published a paper called The Transformative Value of Liberating Mars.
Where is that located?
I didn't get the point, but you can look that up in the link that will be posted if you're really interested. Anyway, he says that when the crews that land on Mars arrive, that they'll be representing their companies and countries. Then they'll each build colonies and research stations and living facilities and be expected to report back. He goes on to discuss the Outerspace Treaty, which was passed in 1967, that says outer space, including the moon and other celestial bodies, is not subject to national appropriation by claim of sovereignty by means of use or occupation or any other means.
Yeah, we'll see about that.
So he said, instead of having the humans who land and live on Mars answer back to their home planet's companies and institutions, that they should gain total liberation.
They will.
So he proposes 4 things. First, that humans who land on Mars relinquish their earthly citizenship because they're Martians, not Earthlings. Because they can't come back, I guess.
No, they're Earthlings who live on Mars.
No, according to this,
Can't
they're
they
Martians.
have dual citizenship?
Apparently not. Second, governments, companies, and people on Earth cannot interfere with the politics or economics of Mars. Third, scientific explorations of Mars can continue as long as it doesn't interfere with whatever civilization is developing independently. Fourth, land use on Mars must be determined by Martians. And fifth, anything brought from Earth to Mars is now Martian and Earthlings can't ask for it back.
So what happens if the Martians decide they want to attack Earth?
And they might. And remember, they said at a certain point in time, people will be born on Mars, and those people will never even have lived on Earth. So they will be really true Martians.
Guess what? That already happened.
Well, that's what they're telling now publicly, as you know. And then moving on to California, and of course, all the things that are going on with the weirdness of I call it the gender confusion movement.
Yeah.
That in 2015, California enacted the California Healthy Youth Act. But of course now, they always do things a few years before so people don't complain. So now it's becoming it's taking effect. So under the auspices of health, the law says it will equip students to develop healthy attitudes, on gender and sexual orientation, among other things. It will inform students about the effectiveness and safety of all FDA-approved contraceptive methods and facilitate objective discussion about parenting, adoption, and abortion. Now, the teaching materials approved for this are a study guide for the transgender children's book called I Am Jazz. I've talked about that before, as well as what's called a sexual health toolkit. The toolkit is funded in part by the George Soros Connected Tide Center, and it offers kids.
Someone needs to put him in a box.
Kids tips on using sex toys and anal lubricant. It defines anal intercourse, which we told you is the way astral entities attach, phone sex, and more as common behaviors. And it says that abstinence and virginity can mean anything as long as you stop short of sexual intercourse. So what happens if you don't have the time or the money to buy sex toys? The guide asks on page C as in cat 51, in case you want to know. It says cucumbers, carrots, and bananas with the peel make great dildos. This is what they're teaching to the school kids. Just remember to use a condom. I'm not sure what you're supposed to do.
With a cucumber?
Or a banana, you're supposed to put the condom over that?
You might get pregnant by a cucumber?
I don't know. It teaches the con of abstaining from sexual activities, and is that it requires motivation, self-control, and communication from both partners. So that's the bad part about abstaining.
I see.
So the Orange County Board of Education says that the law's opt-out provision does not apply to instruction materials or programming that discusses gender, gender identity, gender expression, sexual orientation, discrimination, harassment, bullying, intimidation, relationships, or family, and does not discuss human reproductive organs. So parents may not excuse their children from this instruction.
What?
He cites a judicial precedent claiming that parents do not have a constitutional right to excuse their children from portions of the school curriculum that they find objectionable.
So parents have no rights over their children.
That's what they're saying. We keep hearing this over and over in everything that comes up. They can do anything with your children, and they're not going to have to tell you and the children. So this
and
is...
that's in Orange County.
Yeah, well, it's starting there, but once they start at one place, they start moving it along. And I talked to you about...
That's where Disneyland is.
Yeah, and I also talked to you about the 4-H kids and a lot of things here through these past months. So I hope you've been paying attention through the podcast, because I keep telling you these things are coming down the pike.
Oh my goodness.
Now, as the New World religion continued and the New World Order continue to advance, the Boy Scouts, after 108 years, have decided to drop the name Boy Scouts, and because now they're going to allow girls.
But they're already Girl Scouts. There's Boy Scouts and
Yeah,
Girl
well, what's
Scouts.
going to happen is the Girl Scouts now will start dying out as they...
So it'll just be Scouts.
Yes. But the Girl Scouts are still going to continue, but what will
that's
happen...
not fair.
Well, what will
What if a
happen...
boy wants to join the Girl Scouts?
Then he can transgender and be a girl. So that's one thing. Next thing is, this is also big on the news, is women's periods, and I've been telling you about this.
This is on the news?
It's all over the place.
Well, that's messy.
It is messy. So and it's all over, and I've been telling you about this, now for months. So I found an article that I can't remember, but you'll see the link if you want to read it. This one says, "I love having sex on my period, and you should too.
Who said
Messy, gross, or brilliant." There's a subtitle. So now they're encouraging women to have sex while they're bleeding.
There's not enough vodka in the world.
So point being is, this is all part of New World religion. It's a bloody mess.
Yeah.
Then it goes on again, because I want everybody naked, be a part of New World religion.
Oh, okay.
This is for females, dear.
Oh.
Why my female friends send each other nudes. This is the title of another article.
Do?
This says there is nothing sexual between Gita and her best friend, but several times a week they send each other nude selfies.
Why?
They're calling this an expression of solidarity and empowerment among women.
No,
Now,
I call it...
Stupid.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, stupid. Sending people your naked pictures is not smart, it's stupid. It's not
Yeah, that's not going to end well.
and not only that, it has nothing to do with empowerment. Being naked doesn't empower you. Being who you are empowers you. Most people, like I've talked about this before, are more comfortable in clothes simply because of the environment and
some
everything
of those
else.
people really should keep their clothes on.
It doesn't matter. The point being is, period. Period. Remember period? Women's periods. The point being is that being naked has nothing to do with championing your own self-confidence, as this happens to say.
I never had a period. I had question marks and exclamation points many times.
So, again, New World religion, another part of it. Coming up right here, listen to this. Now they're saying that people are confessing. I don't know who those people are.
Yeah.
If you've got...
I like to know who these people are
If this
talking
is
about.
you, please let us know in the comments form. People are confessing to fancying non-human film and TV characters.
Like sexually?
Yes.
So like with a cartoon character?
Yes. And a CGI, of course, computer-generated imagery, CGI. It's promoting lust, not just that you fancy them, but now you're lusting over some of these
an
animated...
imaginary person.
Well, yes and no, but it continues to tell you what people are lusting for. Okay, not only CGI, animated creations. It's talking about the new Netflix reboot of Lost in Space. They have a very, apparently a robot that's heroic and ripped physique, and its sculpted rear has ignited confusing feelings in some viewers, because now they want to have sex with this robot
It's
thing.
a male or female robot?
I don't know, because I don't know it's a protective robot, but it doesn't say if it's male or female. So I guess either male or female might have
That's
feelings
on
about
Lost
it.
in Space?
It's in Lost in Space. Then in the CGI villain Thanos, in Infinity War, people have developed unexpected feelings for that. And then it goes on to talk about the Shape of Water movie, about the woman who falls in love and lust with the Fishman character.
Then it's kind of reptilian.
Then apparently there's an upcoming movie called Venom, starring Tom Hardy as a man who can turn into a long-tongued alien creature, is drawing steamy praise from besotted movie fans.
Never heard of it.
And it's because it's upcoming. Disney, it was the trailer. Disney, it says, believe it or not, is the biggest source of crushes on non-human creatures, such as, let's see, the cartoon Princess and Princesses, Ariel and Prince Eric from The Little Mermaid, Aladdin and Jasmine from Aladdin, and then crushes on animated animal characters like Simba from The Lion King, and the Beast from Beauty and the Beast. So it says, now get this, I want to know, if you've harbored your own confusing attraction to a computer-generated entity, just know that you're not alone.
What if they're like emojis?
I just think it's so disgusting. But they're now making you think, geez, if I don't want this or I don't like this, is there something wrong with me? Okay.
Well, there's something wrong with anyone who likes a make-believe character.
Yeah. Anyway, and then another thing which is now becoming big, and in many different ways. When we were gone, and I came back, on my Facebook page, there's a new thing called glitter butt. So the women are wearing like these thong underwear, yeah, and over their bottoms now are covered with glitter.
So like they sit down on a box of glitter?
I don't know exactly, but this is a new thing. But
Are you sure that's real?
yeah, it's a real thing apparently. And women will do it. Women will copy it. You'll see this on the beach. And some people are covering their whole body in glitter.
And they just walk on the beach like that?
I don't know what they do because I haven't really seen them, but it's out there. So, speaking of glitter, not only that, but I'm also seeing glitter on food. Now, glitter, believe it or not, you should not be eating that.
No.
This article, because I found it back in 2012, that cupcake glitter decorations are unsafe in the UK, but okay in the US.
Well, that's the first good thing the UK ever did.
It says that in the UK they found that many glitters are made from inedible polyester plastic of the type used to make drink bottles. Under the microscope, the plastic is revealed as being in tiny hexagons with jagged edges. In another case, the cake glitter was actually finely powdered brass. And anyone
Why would you eat that?
Well, this is my point. They're saying that it's non-toxic. They said non-toxic is different from edible. And it says in the US, typical ingredients in decorative glitter is titanium dioxide, iron oxide, carmine, and mica.
That sounds delicious.
And they're considered safe in the US because they are used in such small amounts.
Right. Let the people who said they're safe take a spoonful of it.
Well, it says in large doses, anything can be a poison, it says. But it says when you're looking for things, if it says non-toxic, don't think it means edible. So that's what you need to know. It says it's probably not smart to eat it. And anyway, it just, for a while, remember, and I've still seen this where people are eating gold and silver.
That's not a good idea.
You don't want to be eating metal. Your body's not meant to eat metal. And this colloidal silver that people take, we actually have
we know
seen
about that.
people who've turned blue from taking too much.
And gray.
And yeah, it's awful. So anything anyway, I have the article posted, the link. So if you want to read about that, but don't do glitter, please. That's really
No.
silly. And also, did you know that Israel offended Japan's prime minister by serving him dessert out of a shoe?
I heard about that.
Yeah, Japanese prime
That was
minister,
brilliant.
Minister Shinzo Abe and his wife had dinner with Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and his wife, and in the end, they served them dessert in a shoe. Now. Though what people don't realize, oftentimes maybe, is that shoes are quote unquote despised in Japanese culture.
Well, all Asian.
Yeah,
It's
anyway,
an insult.
Yeah, it, in my opinion, it's still a weird idea to serve them dessert
And
out of a
believe me,
shoe.
they knew about that before you.
Well,
That's
said,
not a surprise.
I wouldn't think so. So what message would that be sending, do you think?
This
I'm
one?
giving them the boot? Oh, Stewart, this is supposed to be a family-friendly thing.
I'm sure children are not watching it.
We're supposed to be family-friendly, or they
But that's
can,
what I meant. You said, what does it mean? I'm telling you.
well, you can say it nicely.
Oh, also, I mean, you got out now.
That's better. A Japanese diplomat called it offensive and questioned what the meal prepared by an Israeli celebrity chef was trying to accomplish. He said this was a stupid and insensitive decision.
Mm-hmm.
There is nothing more despised in Japanese culture than shoes. Not only do they not enter their houses while wearing shoes, well, you will not find shoes in their offices. Even the prime minister, ministers, and members of parliament do not wear shoes to work. Listen to this one. It is equivalent to serving a Jewish guest chocolates in a dish shaped like a pig.
Well, I don't think that would be offensive to them.
No, that
I mean,
would be.
they're not serving a pig. It's a dish.
Well, no culture put shoes on the table. What precisely was this illustrious chef thinking?
No, it wasn't the chef. He was told to do
Yes.
that to insult the prime minister,
Yes.
period.
So I thought that was extremely interesting story. And then
Yeah, the Israelis have been really good with their diplomat capabilities.
And then alien stories, of course. They keep bringing up aliens and where they came from and how they got there, blah, blah.
You should ask me.
So did you know, according to this new, quote unquote, I'll call it a new paper, new research, the extraordinary claims in a paper called Cause of Cambrian Explosion, Terrestrial or Cosmic, which was co-authored by a group of 33 scientists and published in the Progress in Biophysics and Molecular Biology journal.
That sounds like a lot.
Now, what it means, when they say it in this report, is that octopi are aliens which evolved on another planet before arriving on Earth hundreds of millions of years ago. Cryopreserved eggs via a process known as panspermia. That's how they got here.
Is that when? Oh, I better not say it.
The paper suggests that the explanation for the sudden flourishing of life during the Cambrian era lies in the stars as a result of the Earth being bombarded by clouds of organic molecules.
Right.
They went on to make an even more extraordinary claim concerning, I hear they say octopuses. I thought it was octopi.
It is octopi. They don't know how to. They don't
guess.
understand that because stupid people reading it. They go, "What's an octopi? Is that something you get at the bakery?"
Maybe.
That's why.
It says the paper states that the genome of the octopus shows a staggering level of complexity with 33,000 protein-coding genes more than is present in Homo sapiens.
You said homo.
One plausible explanation is that the new genes are likely new extraterrestrial imports to Earth. The suggestion is all the more interesting because octopi have frequently been touted as a possible model for extraterrestrial beings.
Can I make an interjection here?
course.
You might want to notice in the article, it's 33 scientists and 33,000 proteins.
Yep.
So there's a 33 Illuminati
Number
trigger
again.
number again.
And in this 1898 sci-fi classic Martians in the War of the Worlds, H.G. Wells conceived his Martians as octopus-like creatures with massive brains. In 2016, the film Arrival concerns first contact with an alien
Yeah.
cephalopod race, right?
Yeah, they were like octopi.
Cephalopods,
I saw that
especially
movie.
octopi, are regarded as the most intelligent of all non-vertebrates with the highest brain-to-body ratio.
Okay.
So that was interesting. And more alien life on Mars, believe it or not. Now they're saying that researchers believe the rocks on Mars' dried up lake beds could contain alien fossils dating back as far as 4 billion years ago. So we're watching them change history right in front of
Yeah,
our...
it's in the book.
Yeah. The incredible claim was presented this week in a study at the University of Edinburgh and published in the Journal of Geophysical Research. The lead author said looking at these lake atypical rocks is scientists' best bet in the search for extraterrestrial life. There are many interesting rock and mineral outcrops on Mars where we would like to search for fossils, but they're trying to prioritize which places. So they're continuing to tell you Mars is it, and Mars is where it's happening, and Mars is that.
I told them a long time ago.
And then they're also going to talk about the asteroids and everything else where they're finding. So just, when people talk about disclosure's happening now, just as we've been telling you. Now, again, more New World religion just doesn't stop. A pregnant male model steals the show at London Fashion Week. A designer by the name of Zhu.
Again with the Jew thing, you better stop.
Zhu, Z-H-O-U. It sounds like a Chinese name to me. He had male models sporting prosthetic baby bumps under their looks because he says we're prepared to welcome a future of male pregnancy.
That is never going to happen.
And he
Trust
also
me.
says, apparently his show also featured a man wearing a trench coat with 6 arms, giving it the appearance of an arm-supported umbrella. What's 6? 3 plus 3, 33. So what's going on there, I don't know. And the
What's going on? There's a moron fashion person.
The last article that I have for you, which is actually just very brief, but I think extremely important, is this wedding of Meghan Markle and Prince Harry.
Which we weren't invited to that.
Now, what was interesting to me, because this has been sticking in my mind, so I researched this. Why are they calling her the Duchess of Sussex?
Because that was a title given to her by the Queen as a gift.
Yes, but why, dear? That's what we're looking at. So, we want to look at, first of all, the last 3 letters, sex. So we want to take that into consideration. We also want to notice that she has been wearing Princess Diana, or Princess Di's ring. So is this something fortuitous in her future? Because she's waving that Princess Di ring around.
They interviewed her father in Mexico, and he said he had a phone call with them, and that she's desperate to become pregnant. So he thinks that'll happen really soon.
No.
And he told Prince Harry not to hit her.
Well, point being is again, back to the Sussex, speaking of having a baby. So, and she's, what is she, 37, 38?
36.
She's somewhere in there, so,
Better hurry up before her eggs
Time-wise.
dry up.
Now, sus, the noun, means suspicion and suspect. This is the British definition for sus. It can also mean as a verb suspicious. And also what they do is they suss something out. If they're not sure,
Yeah, I
they
know.
suss it out. So they're sussing out sex with Meghan Markle.
Ooh.
So there's also sus laws, that it's an informal name for a permit which allows an officer to stop and search people on the suspicion of being a vagrant, which this act was passed in 1824. So that Sussex that they gave her, there's a reason. So you want to keep your eye on that. Because
You think that because she was an actress and she sings songs like "I'm Just Wild About Harry"
I don't know.
and "Harry's Wild About Me."
But interestingly, she did not remember curtsy to the Queen when she left, and neither did Harry
Off with her
bow.
head.
Now, Kate and William did bow and curtsy. She did not. That's one thing. The other thing is she's breaking royal protocol because
Well.
she is giving PDAs, public displays of affection with Harry. That's something new. And also at one of her appearances, she wore something off the shoulder. That
And
is...
when she went with the Queen to something that she went in the car first and the Queen went after her.
Yeah. So this is why I said Duchess of Sussex. There's a reason. It has to do with sex. We want to watch this. This is something
Yes.
about New World religion. Now the other thing I found very interesting, which I've never read before, maybe you have, is they wrote that right now she has to call the Queen Your Majesty.
Yeah.
Then she said once she gets to know her better, the Queen may grant her permission to call her ma'am. And then after she gets her... Now this is the last
I'm still waiting
one.
for you to give me that permission.
This is the last one. Then
Ma'am.
if she gets through that test with the Queen, then she's allowed to call her the Queen's nickname of Mama.
She's Mama?
So why would she be
She'd be
Mama?
calling her Big Mama.
Why would she be Mama to all these people? So I think all of this is extremely interesting. We want to watch the symbolism that's going on with this new wedding because they're telling you things. You've got to learn to interpret the symbolism.
And
So
you think that I had enough of you, old
a
lady.
good place to begin interpreting symbolism. Hyperspace Plus, Healing Archetypes and Symbols. Learn the basics and learn how to interpret them for yourselves. These are great
They could have the sequel
books.
to Big Mama's house at the
Also-
Buckingham Palace.
Hyperspace Helper. Okay, it's got a lot of symbols in here and this basic hyperspace information. Stewart says, great book. True Sexuality. This was written back in 2002. We've got an update schedule, but it'll probably be